friends and colleagues. My name is Dr. Muhammad Ahmed. I'm a consultant psychiatrist at the HSE Midwest and also the head of the Irish division of the Sudanese Medical Association, UK and Ireland. I would like to welcome you all to this meeting organized by our association, and it's glad to see you today after this busy day, Thursday evening. We in the Sudanese Medical Association, UK and Ireland, are very keen to promote links and strengthen links between Sudan and Ireland in terms of, at an institutional level, in terms of health services and medical training domains. We annually organize medical conferences in Sudan, and we invite keynote speakers from Ireland and the UK at these conferences. We also invite senior Sudanese health officials and policymakers to visit Irish health services and meet with their Irish counterparts to initiate collaboration between the two sides. And exactly as our guest today, Dr. Abu Idris, who's the Dean of the National Cancer Institute in Sudan. So we believe that by creating such links, we will eventually have a win-win situation for both sides. So please allow me to thank and welcome Dr. Abu Idris, who's our speaker today. And I would also like to thank Dr. Sylvie Blazkova, who's a consultant in Department of Oncology in University Hospital, Galway. I would also like to thank Mr. Kieran Kenny from Genomics Health for sponsoring this educational event. So I hope that you will find this meeting informative and interesting. And without any further delay, I would pass you over to Dr. Sylvie. Thank you so much.
And I have a great pleasure to introduce you Dr. Dafa Ala Abu Idris, who is the Dean of the National Cancer Institute in Madani, Sudan, and also Associate Professor of Oncology in University of Jazeera. So I would like to welcome him to Galway. I've been given just a very brief, I'm sure it's just a very abbreviated CV, that he graduated from the Medical School of University of Jazeera in 1993. And that was followed by his postgraduate training in South Africa, where he obtained a fellowship in medical oncology at the College of Medicine in Cape Town, South Africa. And he's currently a member of many Sudanese, African and international medical organizations and supervisor for postgraduate medical students at University of Jazeera in Sudan. He's published widely in both African and international peer-reviewed journals, and he's currently visiting Ireland to strengthen the bond in between the Irish and the Sudanese Medical Oncology Association. So I'd like to welcome him again and ask him if he would take a place.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for the introduction. Thank you for coming, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. And probably it's good sometimes to share or to know about others. And sometimes it's also good to know yourself through others, actually. Actually, this presentation meant to be about Sudan, but all of a sudden, Muhammad Ali changed it to for whole Africa. So I have to be in a rush, preparing a lot of slides just to meet this address. Okay, probably we all know, probably the developed country reach the maximum rates of cancer, and they will be seeing annually this number of cases. But in the developing country, still we are waiting more and more cancers to come, because a lot of these cancers are not diagnosed yet for a lot of reasons which we are going to see through this presentation. So this is from IAA publication, where the expectation for cancer in the developing world is going to increase from 2 million in 1985 to probably more than 10 million in 2015. Cancer is no longer a rare disease in Africa. It is a common disease now, and about more than 700,000 cases are diagnosed annually in Africa. And taking the population of Africa, which is 1 billion inhabitants, the lifetime risk in female is only about 30%. I'm going to have some comment about all these percentage and incidences for Africa. The sources usually WHO or IA or Globocan, but I don't think they are real because of, we will see. I don't think they are real. So the cancer with the highest incidence in Africa actually is cervical and breast cancer. And now HIV also is coming, HIV-related or associated malignancies like sarcomas and non-Hodgkin lymphoma. The 7th leading cause of death in Africa, probably there is some other causes of death in Africa. You can count wars, you can count infectious diseases. Cancer related to infection in Africa is common because still we are suffering in Africa from viruses like human papilloma and HIV and hepatitis probably. However, the other cancers also not related to the infectious causes are also increasing, because there is the unhealthy behavior also is coming, is introducing itself in Africa. So beside the infectious causes, also the African now, there is a behavioral change. People going westernization of the African population, smoking, probably in some of them obesity, in some of them even the diet, the physical inactivity. All these are coming up now in Africa. So we will be suffering from both kind of causes for the cancer. The majority of cancer in Africa is diagnosed at late stage, and this is probably explainable because the health infrastructure is poor in Africa. So you expect people not to have an access to early diagnosis, and there is no real screening programs going on in Africa. Survival after diagnosis of cancer is much poorer because of the late presentation. So probably in Ireland, you are not going to see such ladies in Ireland anymore because of your extensive national cancer control programs and your national screening, which is going on in Ireland now. And probably you are picking now cases with T1 or T2 in maximum in the breast. But still we are seeing more and more of these cases every day in Africa and Sudan. This will just continue. The top 5 cancers in male after the HIV in some parts of Africa is Kaposi sarcoma, and then we have amazingly we have a high incidence of liver cancer in Africa, and prostate also, bladder, which is also related to infectious causes because of the schistosomiasis, especially in northern Africa, in Egypt and Sudan. And in female, still cervix is leading, plus the breast. And there is some variation between countries. So, for example, in some countries, the breast is a leading cause of, is a commonest cancer, and in others, the cervix. So, just a bit about Sudan. Sudan is an African state in the Middle East, northern Africa. It's Arab represent 70% of our population. And the last census probably more than 30 million, but now the estimate is probably 36 million. We have a lot of tribes in Sudan. We have a lot of different language besides the Arabic language. And 95% of our population adhere to Islam. The independence of Sudan from the British colonization is in 1956. This is Sudan, how it's diverse with different cultures in different regions. And this is what it used to be before 2009. Now we are becoming two separate states. And so we have the Sudan, and then we have the Southern Sudan. And there have been the longest civil war in Africa actually was in Sudan. It about more than 20 years. The people in the south fighting to have a referendum, and then finally they got their own state. And this also does have an impact because during the last 5 years, there is a lot of oil discovered in Sudan. Probably 70% of it was in the south. So by having a separate state now in the south, we are losing a lot of our resources. And this is actually also add in our crisis. The health system in Sudan actually, because of the federalization in Sudan, we have states, and each state have its own government and its own law and its own Ministry of Health. So the Federal Minister of Health becomes like strategic planner or whatever, but each and every state have its own kind of council from the public, and they have their own interest in different health problems. So you can't really now say you can't approach any problem through the federal Minister of Health only. You have to also approach the ministries of health in different states. We have 18 states in Sudan. The priority in health problems or host program in Sudan for the maternal child health, because we used to have a high maternal mortality, but no more. I think thanks for the program of the maternal child health, which have been going for more than 7 years now, and which it does have a good impact in decreasing the maternal mortality. And then the communicable disease also takes a big chunk of the interest of the Federal Minister of Health, and for the infectious disease like malaria, we are in the zone of the malaria, on the malaria zone, and schistosoma is still tuberculosis. It went away, but it comes back again during the last years. HIV and leishmaniasis. And the blindness control, this is a priority in the Ministry of Health. Then it comes non-communicable disease, including cancer. Probably in USA, the cancer incidence is falling. Behavior of the people, of the population is slightly changing. The people are becomes more protective, more healthy diet, more healthy lifestyle, to cut the smoking and all these things. While in the developing world, the people who smokes actually their numbering are increasing. For example, in the United States of America, annually they diagnose about less than 500,000 new cases per year, and the population of the state is 320 million. In Ireland, they are diagnosing 30,000 new cases per year in a population of 4.5 probably million. And then you come to Sudan with a population of 32 million, we are only diagnosing 10,000 per year. So I don't think it's real. I don't think we don't have cancer, but probably a lot of these people will pass undiagnosed. So the global cancer rates is, sorry if it's not obvious slide, in Denmark it's 326 per 100,000 population. In Ireland, Ireland is 3117, And it goes like 300 in all these countries, probably less in Czech Republic and in UK. But in Africa, according to the Global Can, they estimate that they said the incidence, the crude incidence of cancer is 88 per 100,000. So also this is not real because they are making just estimates. They are not really reflecting the problem of cancer in Africa. And they said probably is more in the Southern Africa. Probably South Africa is better because they have a better and well-off infrastructure. So the incidence in Southern Africa is more than 200 per 100,000, while in the rest other part of Africa is 88. And this is also reflects the importance and the impact of having a cancer registry, which is not present actually in Africa. And they are speaking about different, but I don't think this is real, because when you look at this map, which is meant to be for the cancer registries, so the only place which you have a national cancer registry is two countries in the south, in Southern Africa, which is Namibia and Zimbabwe. And the yellow, that means they have only regional cancer registries. They don't have a national cancer registry. And probably in some parts there is no even any data about cancer, because we will come to know that there is about 17 states in Africa, they don't have any oncology service. They don't have any center to treat cancer. So all this what happened in the global can for the African continent, I don't think it's real. It's just projection for some of these regional scattered kind of registries. This is also from the Global Can, and they are speaking about the commonest cancer in male and in female in different countries. And I can confront these things, especially in my country, Sudan, which I know much. I'm speaking about in Sudan, the lymphoma is the commonest cancer in male, but actually in our records from our institutes which treat cancer in Sudan, the prostate is number 1 and the liver is number 2. So, but you will find it published. And if you want to have any kind of references, you will only find this data. So I don't think it's real. It has been just projected. Sometimes they project other neighbors' country as they try to adjust these things. Also, we are very poor and we are back behind in cancer facility. So in Ireland, a population of say 5 million, there is more than probably 100 radiation or medical oncologists. I didn't count it actually because I didn't find the number. I'm trying to find from my visits to Galway and Cork and Dublin about the number. But which I'm sure of, the population per machine. So it's 0.075. This is, you can say, million per machine, per one machine. In USA, it's 0.175. I think Ireland is much better than USA in the number of the machines compared to the population. And when you come to Sudan, for each machine, one machine will serve 6 million. One machine will serve 6 million. While in Ireland, one machine will serve 75,000 population. And in the United States of America, 175,000 of the population. And when you come to Ethiopia, 43 million. One machine will serve 43 million. In Ethiopia, which is 86, the population of the Ethiopia, they have only 2 radiotherapy machines. And when you come to Mali, there is nothing. 15 million population, and they don't have any machines, they don't have any service, and there is a lot of other states which it doesn't have. So this is machines. When you look to the red, that means there is no cancer center. There is no cancer facility in this in the red colored states, and no data. That means also there is no center. Okay. So most of the African states are underserved, or there is no real service for cancer. If you speak about cancer mortality in Africa, also I don't think there is any kind of estimate for the mortality in Africa. Because most of people die at home. People will get buried without death certificate. We don't have death certificate. You can bury the body without having death certificate. This is usual in Africa. And especially, for example, in our community, the Muslim community in Sudan, you have to bury the body as soon as possible, within the first 1 or 4 hours from death. And there is no obligation upon you that to get death certificate to bury the body. So, and there is no post-mortem actually done for the people who die for unknown cause. You can't really do post-mortem. The relative doesn't allow you. So we don't really know why the people die in Africa. What reason? We only know the people who die in hospitals. He's died from malaria, from tuberculosis, from septicemia, from whatever. But most of the people, they don't die here in the hospital. Even in the Globocan paper, which is published, they write this, the interpretation of the incidence and mortality data from Globocan presented in the paper is limited. Is limited because you can't really have good records in Africa. Coming to the trends in age, for example, I'm sorry, if you look on the right-hand side, about the breast cancer in UK and the prostate in UK, it goes with age. So if women get older, the incidence for having the possibility for having breast cancer will get more and more. But this is also published from Sudan. You can see the breast cancer age. We have a peak between 30 to 50, before even the age of screening. The screening usually starts at 50. So, but the majority of our cases, which we see, from the commonest cancer which we have, which is breast, are below 50 years old. So why is this a different trend, or probably there is other reasons, especially this can probably explain part of the problem. Because the pyramid for the population in Africa, and Sudan is not exception, is like this. We don't have old age. So the people may not last long to witness cancer. That's why it's why you see more and more below 50. Also the stage at presentation, as we mentioned before, most of our people, 70% will come in stage 3 and 4. This is the people in Africa. Those two guys actually speak. He's speaking to his friend. He said, where can I go in this desert to find out about how to prevent cancer or to detect it early enough so that I wouldn't be killed by cancer? This is what's going on. And this is in Sudan. We got some people, they have their homes on top of their animals. So they move with the animals and homes moves with them. So that doesn't even have any... Sudan faces many challenges in cancer control. We have 3 states, we have only 3 cancer centers in Sudan. 2 are fully functioning, they have radiotherapy service, and 1 only does have medical oncology. And then we have private centers, which all of these private centers, they doesn't serve any kind of radiation. They only do medical oncology. And all private are in Khartoum. We have very limited number of machines, as we said before, and we are very short in clinical oncologists. And in general, we used to have more than 25, now we have 15, and this is because of the brain drain. Okay, so this is another challenge. You don't have enough number, and even the number which you have, you can't maintain. You will lose them each year. They will just go for better salaries. And all these numbers are actually going down. So the needs for Sudan, or probably for Africa, we should have a better kind of surveillance. That means we should have a good registries to know the real problem, so that accordingly you can make your plans to fight cancer or to control cancer. The first step to know the magnitude and the size of the problem. We do have cancer control strategy in Sudan, but there is no adherence to it, and it is not enforced. So to have a better cancer control strategy, you should have political will. If the politicians are not supporting this, you will not go anywhere. So you should have a political will. But in Sudan, probably the priority is for security. Most money will be actually expended in security. We have a lot of wars. We used to have war. Still, we finished from the south. Still, there is some unrest regions in the west, in the east, and they keep Sudan busy actually. Or probably some of these wars actually from outside, but they keep you busy dealing with wars, so you don't have time to make any plans. The second thing to have a good cancer control program is to have support, which is financial support. So to do screening, to do the registry, to treat patients, you should have money. And then you should have a committed staff. So, and you are facing brain drain, low incentives. So still the people who are working with cancer in Sudan, they might not be really committed. And all this is not available in all African continent. But we started in Sudan. So at our region, in the state of Jazeera, in Medani, we start a regional cancer registry for our region, the region which we can have a good access to it. Okay, we have access to all hospitals in this region, to all pathology labs or whatever. So we started. When we said that, we have to do something. We have to go further. If we can't do a national cancer registry because some of the region answered there is no political will, there is no real finance, but at least in our region, which is small, we can start that. So we started actually, and we used CANREG4, which is provided by the WHO body in Lyon in France, the IARC. And for the brain drain, also we have to find a solution. The solution for the brain drain is to train more people. So we start postgraduate training in Sudan. So now we have a continuous program which is running for more than 6 years now for postgraduate medical oncologist and or clinical oncologist. We still adhere to the old system, which we do both. We do medical oncology and radiotherapy. Still, there is no separation between. We are very few. I mean, you can't find this kind of separation. But now every year we have 4 or 5 candidates which graduate, which have a fellowship, Sudanese Medical Specialization Board fellowship in clinical oncology. And also this goes for medical physics and also going for radiation therapist. So we just produce more people. The people will go, but you have to keep it fair enough. Otherwise, we will not continue. So the only thing probably which is needed is our trainee. They don't have an external exposure to the modern technology and to the state-of-art machines. Probably they may not need it now at this moment, but in the future, if things getting better, they may need to have a good training on these kind of machines. So during the program, if we could have 6 months outside training, just to expose our candidate to the state-of-art machines, it will complete the picture. But otherwise, and the cost of the training inside Sudan is $2,000 per year. But if you want to train anybody outside Sudan, at least you need about 24,000 US dollar per year. So it's also cost effective to have people being trained inside. This is go for medical physics, which is also very cost effective. The challenges which we face is the late presentation. And because of the lack of the screening and early detection service, as well as the limited awareness of early signs and symptoms of cancer among the public and even the healthcare providers. There is also again stigma associated with diagnosis of cancer still going in Africa, in Sudan also. And the other reason for late presentation is the limited access and to the timely standard diagnostic facilities or treatment. So in Sudan, we have a center in Khartoum, which is the capital of Sudan, the square in the middle, and then our center, the triangle in Wad Medani. And as you see, the two centers are very near to each other. And this is also a problem because the distribution of even the service is poor. Because when you see the map of Sudan, the population, a hell lot of population in the west. There is no any cancer center in the west. So for each and everybody here who got a cancer, he has to travel one of these two centers in the middle of Sudan. At least he has to travel 1,200 kilometers to reach the service. So we are now putting pressure on the government to have a center in the Western Sudan, which makes things easier probably for the heavy populated area in Western Sudan.
How many hospitals are there in that area?
In Western Sudan? No.
Hospitals in general, not cancer centers.
Hospital, I don't know. In each and every state there is a main hospital. Yeah, it's a big one. Yes. So for the political will, you have to take chances. Even whatever chance happens, you have a governor coming to visit somebody, you have to take chances to tell him, to explain to him. One of these chances we took actually, and now we are building a very big new facility, which will cost 17 million US dollars. We are in the stage 3 now in this project, and it is going. And also, we managed to have another last year, 2 new cobalt machines and 1 linear accelerator from the government. In the election campaign last time, the president said, we will provide free cancer treatment. And actually, it does help because now we provide free chemotherapy in Sudan. So in spite of all these things, but the chemotherapeutics are given for free for all patients. This include only the cytotoxic, even the novel cytotoxic, like whatever, taxanes, gemzards, oxaliplatin, whatever. But it doesn't cover targeted therapy because therapeutic therapy is beyond the budget which is allocated to us. But at least the budget which is allocated now will cover all these non-cytotoxics plus the novel cytotoxic medication. And we start to have our own in our institute accommodation for the people coming from outside. So we rent a place which we accommodate people. So after that, the media comes, newspaper wrote, and then the government, the local government took over. Now the rent is paid by the government, and also the maintenance of the place is taken. So you have to be creative. You have to to help. You have to show something. But the government by itself is too busy, probably, I don't know, solving a lot of issues. And the issues are very much. I mean, even the water supply is a problem in some parts of the country. This is our project which is going on now. It's reached, we are approaching the fair Nietzsche. It's 120 bed hospital with all oncology facility for surgery and for medical oncology and radiotherapy outpatient. This is the old cobalt which we refurbished actually, and we brought a new one, two cobalt actually new, which is also support from government. This is a linear accelerator which we have since 2006, and no single patient has been treated in this machine up to now, because simply the machine is Varian, which is American machine, and to send somebody to fix the last password for treatment to go, they said no. So there is a sanction upon Sudan, even for medical treatment. Even it doesn't allow even to treat cancer patients. So this machine is more than, it's $1.2 million. It's bought by the government, but it never works. Still, it's still in this place, and it's still like this. So this is also a puzzle. We try to approach each and everywhere, even the IEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, to solve this problem, but they fail. Even the Varian company, they tried to sell some product in Sudan. We said, no, if you don't fix this machine, you can't sell anything else. So, and then finally this year, we managed to get a guy from Pakistan. He's an engineer. He actually came down to Sudan and he fixed the machine. Okay, so you have to go around and you have to understand the challenges which you are facing. You can put money, again, you will not find a good support for that. Also, you can do something about hepatitis, for sure. This is the map for hepatitis B infection. You see Africa is heavily infected by this, but there is a good immunization program going in Africa also. And this is yellow. That means they almost cover the whole state with vaccination. And Sudan has been doing vaccination for more than 5 or 6 years now for all children, and also these all these yellow, and even in the red. Actually, it is going on. So this is also will help probably a lot in decreasing cancer related to hepatitis B. We don't have any dedicated palliative care yet, but still, we as oncologists, we also we don't have palliative care physicians. So you as an oncologist, you have also to do palliation. You have to do also counseling. You have to do everything. So we are providing good service in pain control, but I don't think it's adequate. I don't think it's optimum. This is one of the areas which is we are very weak, and then we are also weak in Sudan and in all Africa for the backup of machine. The government can buy machine, but the government will not maintain it. So that I don't think linear accelerator is yet to be in Africa. I think Africa needs cobalt, because cobalt machine doesn't need a lot of maintenance, and it can work for more than 2 shifts, which we are doing now. So we start in the morning, we finish probably in the night, the midnight. So the machine works all this time. Cobalt machine can do that, but the linear machine can't do that. And the linear also need a lot of spare parts, a lot of backup of maintenance, service contract. So still the African government, they can't support such kind of thing. So I think still cobalt will do much in Africa, and still there is no cobalt in Europe, there is no cobalt in America anymore. It has vanished 5 years ago, but still we think In Africa, the cobalt fits our situation. We are developing world, we are poor, we don't have enough things. It's good that you convince the government to bring you a machine, but if you come every time and said, my machine is broken out, so they said, oh, you are bothering us. Why we shouldn't buy it from the beginning? So cobalt is working very nice with us and work for Africa. And still, I think we support to have cobalt till the whole thing improves together. There is also need for new center in Africa, and each and everybody should help in providing new centers in Africa, in Sudan, in each and every place. We need also support for training program like short courses for our candidate. We are also very weak in patient advocacy. The community is really, we need people to work in patient advocacy. The public health, the global health, we need such people because we can't really do everything as a clinician. Because now as a clinician, we approach the governors, we approach the newspapers, the medias, but if you have a group from the community who can do this advocacy for the patient, probably it could be more appealing and it might bring a lot of support for the cancer centers. Don't forget, we'll still have this population which is going on. The breast is the commonest cancer in our country, and we also have some initiative in that. We did initiative which doesn't need financial support. So we actually went to our villages like this, very poor village, and we select a woman from each village, and we train them in how to perform breast examination. And then they go back to village, and they screen all women above 18 years old from door to door. She can do that in 3 months, 7 months, whatever. She's living in that village. And then if there is any abnormality, increase in size, changing color, nipple retraction, whatever, then they fill a referral form and they send it to us. We either we respond immediately to them, and if people can't come to us, we usually collect them together in one of these villages, and we go there. We go there with our pathologist and with our diagnostic radiologist and before. We did this initiative. It took us 2 years. It was very successful, and this is the team which worked on that initiative, and it's been published in Lancet Oncology. This initiative. This is our center now. In conclusion, in Africa, you have to be creative. You have to be everything. You shouldn't just be a clinician. You have to be a patient advocate. You have to be sometimes a palliative care physician and nurse. You have to present yourself so that people can know what's your problem, and you have to accept help from each and everyone, and you have to ask for the community participation, and you should keep going, and you should never give up. Thank you. Looking at the trend of the cancer in Sudan by age, we are not going to perform screening through mammograms. So you have to depend a lot on the ultrasound. And now the ultrasound is mobile, so you can do a lot with ultrasound. But you need the personnel also. You need diagnostic radiologists also, which is we are very short of. So initiative like what we did actually, we screen all women above 18 years old. And if there is an abnormality, then we collect them, we go with ultrasound, and we can perform. But I am absolutely agree that you can't wait till 50 years to perform. It will not help.
any questions from the floor?
Sarah. Sarah actually is a registrar in palliative care.
Okay.
I was just wondering, I think it's amazing that you're doing palliative care as well as all your oncology. I was just wondering what your access to opioids is like.
We do have a good access for opiates, but we have only oral and injectable. We don't have subcutaneous, we don't have sustained release kind of morphine. But at least we have the oral, which it does help a lot.
Firstly, of course, having welcomed you to Galway, I'd like to compliment, thank you, I'd like to compliment the efforts that you're undertaking, and it is an enormous task, and on behalf of the Sudanese people, we have to thank you for that. I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. Having been away for a few years, I'm not exactly fully sure how the system works. When I didn't understand when you said you had to rent a place, is that the patients or is that the patients' families? And the second question relating to the patients not having to pay for chemotherapy, which is absolutely a necessity. Not even in the richest countries can patients pay themselves for chemotherapy. But what do they have to pay for? Because my understanding is that in most of hospitals, they still have to pay for the bed and the mattress and the pillow and the drips and the injection, including the syringe and the needle. So what is it exactly that the patient has to come up with to contribute for their management? The last question I have to ask is, what is the role of the hematologists in the hematology-oncology cancers? Thank you.
The rest house is for the patients, not the patient who need inpatient service. The patient who are on radiotherapy. So the radiotherapy course will take about 6 weeks. So if you have a patient from Darfur or Kordofan living 1,000 miles away from the center, he can't go and come every day. And you can't accommodate him inside the beds because you need the beds for the chemotherapy, for the acute cases. So for those, we provide them because they used to lie on the streets, okay, so to get to the treatment the next day. So we offer them this kind of coverage. The second thing, the patient is paying for diagnostics. Still, diagnostics are not free. He should pay for his CT, his ultrasound, his blood test, and this, and should also pay for surgery. But in our part, he's not going to pay for the chemotherapy. He's not paying for the bed or whatever. But if you write an investigation, the patient has to pay. If he needs surgery also, the patient has to pay. If he does have a national coverage, insurance coverage, it will be done for free. But this is only for the people who are employed to the government. So the others, which might be even more poor, probably it is much difficult. So that's why you get late in presentation because they don't have the price of the investigations. We don't have a hematologist. We don't have a hemato-oncologist in Sudan. We used to have one 5 years ago, and he left to the private sector. In the state hospital, we don't have. There is a lot of Sudanese who does have this specialty, but all of them drained outside. They work for
Trained outside, you mean the T?
D. Yes. So we as oncology, we have to look after them. We know we are doing rubbish, but at least we are the one who knows better. So this is the situation.
To ask about one of them, do you have any explanation of the young age of breast cancer incidences, and would that affect your trends towards screening, if any, or would that be because of the absence of screening at the age that's probably reflecting in older age in the Western population? And the second question about radiotherapy services, do you tend to use hypofractionation as an approach to minimize cost? And the last one, does the industry actually still produce cobalt? Is it available in the market globally, or is it supported by IAA or whatever? Thanks.
The last question about the cobalt. Cobalt, yes, is produced. Eastern Europe still use cobalt. And we bought these two cobalt from Czech Republic, which are producing it, and they make the source in Russia. And Chinese also do that, but they were not successful. The Indian now start to produce also cobalt because they have they share the similar situation like us. So still cobalt is produced and still needed. There is no question about that. And then the women, the age, as I said before, probably if our women live longer, they can have more breast cancer. But the life expectancy for women is in Sudan is 60 or less than that. Yeah. So they don't really stay long to have the cancer. And this, as we said initially, we have to change the approach. We have to do early clinical examination and probably ultrasonography more than mammography. And then the hypofractionation, we started this early. Now it's proved to be similar, equivalent. Now the literature coming up saying that hypofractionation in breast cancer is similar like conventional fractionation. But we have been doing that before the evidence comes. So now the evidence comes from Europe and from America saying it's absolutely equivalent and the same. We are the inventor of the hypofractionation.
Thank you for the lecture. I have a more clinical question. Knowing all the infectious profile in Africa, do you perform any previous screening of parasites before giving chemotherapy?
Like what?
I don't know, because of the infectious disease and the parasites like malaria or TB.
Another question.
First of all, welcome to our boss, Dr. Boudries. He's highly welcome in Ireland and particularly in Galway. Actually, I have a comment rather than a question in the first place. Thank you for the comprehensive talk earlier on. I just wondering, in Jazeera Institute, have you started to commence any kind of program about screening of cervical cancer, which is kind of deeply situated problem, particularly with the massive challenge you have, the limited budget or the margin of the budget that you have from the national budget that located for yourself?
For the cervix, probably in Jazeera itself, the cervix is not a problem. We have more ovarian cancer. In Western Sudan, there is more and more cervix. So in Western Sudan, there is no cancer center. And it's quite away from us. We can't really access it. There is some initiative done by our colleague in Omdurman in Khartoum. And they went there to Kurdistan, but I think they would like to know the incidence, the real incidence there in that region. But they haven't done any kind of sustainable screening program there. But everybody is speaking about it. If it should be done, it should be done in the Western Sudan, because all this cervix cancer comes more from the West.
Thank you very much for this exciting talk. Actually, it's worrisome somehow. Can you just make a comment on the what's thought to be like increasing or rising incidence of cancers in the northern part of Sudan? Is that real or a fact, or is that just a rumor? Any like figures or numbers or anything about that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I really came late, but I have a couple of questions. Maybe you already covered some of them. Do you have any cancer registers? And the second question is, I'm a hematologist, so what is the incidence of hematology malignancies there, and how do you deal with them? And the third question really, which is not a question, but there is a lot of people from Sudan here, as you know, they're trained or undergoing training. What do you expect from us? What kind of input do you expect from us, even going back on holidays? Will we be able to help in any way? I'm sure that's not a straightforward question, but something to think about. Thank you.
Probably I didn't mention that there is high incidence of cancer in northern Sudan. There is no, it's a rumor rather than reality. And I can explain to you afterwards. Then for registries, we cover that. We have only one regional registry, which we are doing Jazeera. The hematological problems are quite common. I can't ignore that, especially chronic leukemias in adults, especially chronic myeloid leukemia. So probably we have a problem with Philadelphia in Sudan. There's a lot of cases of chronic myeloid leukemia. And then how to help to go back. To help, I mean, we need people. We don't have. So coming in a short time and going, I don't think it will solve the problem. It might help actually, but we need somebody to sit and look after these patients. So this is what we need. We have to make sacrifices.
I just have another question. It's actually a more general question. Are there any programs which would be raising awareness with regard to cancer as a disease? You mentioned there is lots of stigma relating to cancer among people. And I clicked through the brochure that the University of Jazeera was founded in 1975. So there is probably 2 more generations to come before there will be more people going through the university and everything. So how people react, what was the general reaction to that self-examination pilot project with the breast screening? Could you comment on that or answer any of these?
The pilot project which we did, actually, we did a lot of extensive awareness campaign in that area. So we went first, we brought all the village leaders first, and then we introduced what we are going to do to get the idea accepted, and then we went to each and every village and we held a big lecture or talk. Then we have posters, we have leaflets which we distribute in that area. So, and still we are doing scattered kind of awareness in the community as much as we can through the media, through the radio, through the TV. We also produce a movie, a short film for survival. So the people speak about their own story with cancer or get cured, breast ladies and head and neck and whatever. So we do a social movie, we try to distribute it as much as possible. So if you have people who survive cancer and get cured, they speak, probably be much better than us speaking about the cancer as a potentially curable in whatever stage.
Yeah, it just shows things, just comment more than a question, just for the questions that have been asked before about how doctors could contribute from outside. I know it would be nice if everyone go back and help their own nation and their own kind of people. But even though if for a reason or another, and there is many reasons that it might delay or going back or not even don't allow it at all. But we have to think innovatively. This is your advice about how we could contribute to the system in Sudan, or even if there is short visits, a couple of months, we have to think how the system in Sudan will accommodate these kind of contributions, even for a short time, to take the maximum out of it. So just a comment on that.
Just to follow, thank you so much for the talk. Is there any national cancer control program at a national level looking at the deficits in terms of services, in terms of human resources? Is there anything like that strategy?
Okay, in 2012 we do have a national cancer control strategy. It's there, it's very comprehensive, very nice. but it hasn't been adhered to. I mean, has been enforced by the government because it simply needs financial support and to do any kind of strategy to fill the gaps. So you need a lot, and all things comes to money, bottom thing. So we did it. It is there, but we couldn't really start in applying because of lack of support. Coming to Noha, I think people can use their relation, their access, their approach to get some of our people actually exposed to some kind of small training, observational training, the people who are still there. Or some of you can go to Sudan and try to train some people in special procedures like sentinel node biopsy, we don't do it without the clearance in all days. So someone can go there and can spend 1 month and performing a lot of surgeries and train the people there how to do it. Such things like that, I think, it still can help.
I wanted to ask about access for blood products if needed during chemotherapy for support. Do you have full access, and what blood products do you have available?
Fractionation, we only have back cell and platelets. Okay. It's available. And usually it comes on donation. We try to prepare something before getting the donation from relatives. So when relatives come to donate, probably we have some stock in the lab. So we use it, and then we keep donating blood. But we used to fractionate each and every whole blood to use it.
Thank you very much for the talk. I just noticed that you said the commonest cancer, even in the local register you have, is a breast cancer. I just want to know what's the biological profile of the breast cancer you have. Is it like a triple negative disease? Is it hormonal positive disease? If it is hormonal positive disease, what's your access for the hormonal treatment? Because you said chemotherapy is free. What about this targeted therapy, which is hormonal treatment? How the accessibility, how availability of it? If you have a HER2 positive disease, chemotherapy is not going to cure them or help them. How your accessibility for the Herceptin? Just to know, because the commonest cancer is breast cancer, and you can do a lot of it to prevent it and to improve the surface work. Thank you.
Concerning the trend of the breast, we held a research together with the Italian, looking at the predisposing genetics factor like PRCA1, PRCA2, and we found it's comparable to the international literature. We don't have high incidence of positive families with PRCA, PRCA2. And then concerning the ER/BR negativity and positivity, the percentage probably is similar, although we used to say we have more negative ER/BR, but I think that it has to do with our specimen, with our processing, with our labs itself, because when we improve, we see these things disappearing. I mean, we are seeing more and more ER/BR positives. And for hormonal treatment, for tamoxifen, it's available for free. We also have anastrozole, which is also free. It's AstraZeneca product. We give it for free. It's going on. Also, we have hormonal treatment for the prostate also, which is also free, the anti-androgens. Okay? And Herceptin, no, there is no way for Herceptin. We have to be realistic. Herceptin is terribly expensive. I'm trained in South Africa. And South Africa is much better than us. In the state hospital, there is no Herceptin, up to now. So you have a budget, but you have to distribute this budget for the maximum kind of patient. HER2 positive, 25% of all ladies, If you solve 75% of the problem, it's better than to solve 25% and then you come to the 75, you don't find any budget left. So I still, without increasing the budget, you can't have access to this kind of education. And you have to make a lot of argument about that with the government. I don't think they will accept that now.
Would you say that the principle that to save very many and sacrifice many for that, people who you cannot offer treatment which would be up to the standards they might receive in the Western world, and then you redistribute the financial and whatever resources you have equally, so you would save more people, even though some of the people actually get less. Is that what you have to apply?
I'm not killing them. Speaking about her septins, still the people after her septins they die. And still you have refractory cases, recurrence, her septin. It by its time, yes, but it doesn't solve the problem for good. And then even a lot of countries, UK, they have been very reluctant at the beginning to accept it because of the budget. You have all time you have to consider budget. So you have to do as much as possible. You have the basics, and if you get more budget, you go for the others. But still, whoever can afford it, we still like it. Some people can afford, but we can't really make it available with our constraints of the budget. You are speaking about a country which have only 6 registry machines. Still, there is some basic things to be done, not done. We have 2 centers for this very large, huge country, which is about 7 times Ireland. And we have only 2 centers to serve all these people. So if we have even money, I think we have to build more centers and we have to bring more machines. Still, we need much.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank
It
you.
was very inspiring anyway. Thank you, and thank everybody for coming. And
Thank you.
is there anything else I should say? No.
No.
Reprogram now. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.